We will. Mr. HashBass, how are you doing? थोड़ा सा 1 मिनट पहले शुरू हो गया है, but I think it's fine. How are things going? You're in Bangalore, right? Right now, you got stuck there because of the corona thing and all that.
Now I'm doing good. Like today morning, I woke up good.
Great. And you generally work till late, right? You don't do the day thing. You do the.
I work. I work at like it's kind of like I enjoy like working at. I used to discipline myself a long time ago, but then I realized like discipline is not happening in that sense, in like in working sense. So I uh, I work like whenever I feel like immediately from inside, like ki, haan, like I should be sitting, should be working. However, I have a designated practice time that I put it. Like, even if I'm at late at night, I sit and practice like for a designated hour, and then just keep working. But yeah, right now in isolation. It's pretty weird, like very weird. Like for days, I'm awake till like 9 in the morning, then sleeping till like 4 in the evening.
So is it you have specific hours that you have to work in a day, be it whatever time?
Thankfully, we as freelance musicians, we set our hours, and I feel like I don't set hours. It's just like if I'm feeling it, like I'm a very feel based kind of a musician, uh, and if I'm feeling it, then I'll definitely like just keep just work.
And
But yes, I want to set. I set a certain hour. Sorry, I set a certain hours. Like कि इतने घंटे तो काम करना
or
as a
and how much is that time generally in the day if you have to work a certain hours?
generally. I really like feel like at least I want to work for at least 3 to 4 hours.
3 to 5.
3 घंटे तो काम करना चाहिए.
So and this is listening, or this is playing, or it's anything that you feel like at that time.
Uh, Man, I always say this. It's a really good question that you asked. I I listen to music all day. I have been like this since forever. Like it dates back to my mother making me hear vinyl records when I was 6 years old or 7 years old. I just got more than playing music for me. Listening to music, that sound was is always like something that's been there, and it really makes me happy, sad emotions. So music is listening is also a part. Working out stuff is also a part. And now since I do pay a lot beyond bass playing, so that also is also a part of the day.
So what do you mean beyond bass playing? Like what all are the other things if you could just share?
I produce.
Okay.
I produce music, uh, and this has been a long time coming for me because us as bass players, uh, we have a certain role, and when you but the best part, what I feel as a bass player is we are always listening to everything that is happening above us, and that is something that made me wanting to write something of my own.
Above you
We
meaning
all
like
we
you're talking about the musical spectrum, the frequency range you're talking
musical
about?
spectrum.
Okay.
Also in environments like other instruments, other with the way it's being played, and how we support. You know, the it's like a tree. We are at the root, and we are supporting the music, and everything that is being supported um, is being received in into you while you're doing that. It's like it's a two-way thing. and that's what made me like think about how I can sit and produce, how I can sit and arrange. Like arranging is something that I really like. Uh, and like my all-time goal has always been to be like a musical director live. That's been always that's the first goal that I ever had with me.
Any
And
particular people you look up to who are good musical directors and are good bass players?
uh, Ricky Minor,
Okay.
Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Uh-huh.
Um, अभी तो stories पे आएंगे, so I'll tell you the stories also. Like I've met him twice, and met Ricky Minor as one. Adam Blackstone, one of the best right now contemporary hip hop, pop, R&B musical directors. All bass players. Like what I realized is like mostly musical directors are bass players, and I just it's more like the most effective ones that I've seen who run the show. You know? And for me, like that is pretty inspiring because I feel like um, we have the power, we have the ears, and that I feel like that's something that has always driven me to get going. And these are the other stuff that I always look into. With also the recent projects that I've done, it's not just me playing
Hmm.
bass; it's arranging, producing. So it's kind of very. It feels very nice to get out of the body.
Are you also the contributor and producer for Prabdeep? I'm not sure. I don't know who.
So I have produced co-produced one song with him.
Okay.
I am besides me just playing bass, I have arranged songs with him. These are spectrums where I never tapped in, but I've tapped in now, and I feel like it's fun. It's also challenging because you're looking at music in a different manner, you know,
That
just
guy,
as
that
a
guy is
just as a
so
bass player.
real. He is magical, and you know, it's just like apart from you, I don't know who would have done justice to that kind of a genre. I think you have made a huge contribution by playing the way you have played in it, and it's just it's such a nice fit. You guys working together, and I heard a bunch of songs, and actually Venki showed me. Venki from Sanam. He's like, dude, Venki said, shout out to Venki, and Venki said hey, have you heard this song by this guy called Prabdeep, and HashBass is playing with him. We were just going somewhere sharing a ride, and I said I haven't, and that's when I heard, and 2 days back I was not 2 days, but yesterday only I was telling Vasundhara we checked it out. I mean, today I sent her a link of that song Suno. That's the name of the song, right?
The work that I worked on, the connection.
Yeah, we got you. We got you back.
You got me. You got me. Okay, fine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I started working with him on this EP that came out called King, where um, it's very funny how we met. He's my neighbor. He lives 5 minutes away from my house. For 25 years, I did not know that he lived like 5 years away from my house.
It's sick music, man.
So,
If you haven't heard the albums or Prabdeep yet, please do check out the music, especially the song Suno. It's from the previous album, of course. And if you write Prabdeep on YouTube, you'll just get all the songs.
stuff like it's really good. Like his stuff is really good, and I connected with him on a deeper level musically, and uh, landed up playing bass eventually, and then like eventually landed up arranging, and then finally by the time EP ended, I co-produced the song.
Ah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Harshit, I today wanted to also discuss with you a little deeper and get into the details of uh, like going to a music school abroad outside India has been a confusing topic for a lot of people, like in terms of do you get what's the process. I mean, the process still you can figure out, but for example, figuring out the loans, what kind of money it takes, where to go to get the loans, how it works, what kind of courses are offered loans, and just if you tell us what kind of a process it was for you, first of all, deciding which music school to go to? Because there's also this whole problem of deciding whether should I go to MI or should I go to Berkeley or should I go to SAM or GMI. So what was your thought about this, that you were decided and you were committed that I'm going to go straight to MI and nowhere else, or did you do your research first? Just let's talk about that.
Um, I would put a disclaimer first, okay, before anything and everything, because this is uh, what I'm about to say is my experience,
Uh-huh.
and I went in a time where um, I wanted to do my own thing, and that's the goal for every musician. And then they figure out how they want to do, and that is what we're going to talk about. But I want to put a disclaimer saying that uh, you decide on how you want to go about with things, and if something doesn't work out, then you got to figure it out by yourself. By this disclaimer will mean something like when we go in and talk about. The thing is, like, I never. MI was an accident.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's I I only started playing bass in 2011. Um, Funny story, backstory. I applied for MI in 2009, got rejected
Hmm.
for keyboards.
Oh yeah, you used to play keyboards before.
Yeah, plus the keyboard. I used to play keyboard and all, piano. Still today, like that thing is helping me in all of the things that we do. Um, and I was studying mechanical engineering, and I dropped out of it after my third year. And I was like, I can't do this. And I went to study sound engineering in Chennai. I
Okay.
started studying sound. I wanted to be a live sound engineer. Fun facts. You want to be everything until you land up doing what you have to do.
Hmm.
So, uh, studying sound engineering in Chennai from SAE. And I started playing bass there with a band. And the band did really well. And somewhere in the middle, a friend of mine comes up to me one day and he's like, I think you should go to the US, yeah. The US, yeah, you should study. It's like, okay, yeah, like this sounds like a good plan. Like, so where do I study? It's like, like I was pretty clueless, like where do I school? The only place that most Indians have ever heard is Berkeley. I'm from Berkeley. I went on the website, saw the pricing, बंद किया सो गया.
And this is what
Just
year is this?
2011.
अच्छा. So you just saw the
Yes.
pricing and all. अच्छा हो गया, बंद कर दो इसको.
Pricing देखा बंद किया सो गया.
हाँ.
Just it's like, man, this is नहीं हो पाएगा यार. Like it's just, I mean, come from a middle class family, and I feel like my father already gave me one chance to study sound engineering. How will this happen? Um, but the idea of a music school was very inviting. It was like, first of all, you get out of your comfort zone. Two, it's making me. So one thing with me is like I like to work in non-comfort zone areas.
Hmm.
Like that's just,
That just,
I would love to challenge
yeah.
myself,
That's the way to be happy.
and it's the best. It's the best. Safe कब तक खेलेंगे? Um, and 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 then another friend, the same friend of mine, put me in touch to the Indian representative of back then for MI. Um, and he reached out to me and he saw me in my videos for the band that I was playing. And he was like, man, I think you should apply for a music
This is
school.
Abe. Who? Abe? Them? Abe Thomas. Yeah.
Abe Thomas. Abe's been a long time friend
Yeah.
now, and just very good guy in doing what he does. And he reached out to me, and I was like, okay, cool. And funny thing was, the same year, MI was touring India, every city to city, auditioning people. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh yeah, because I
Um,
know about Berkeley that they used to come and do these auditions, but I never heard about MI for some reason.
MI came, and for me, The thing was, like Berkeley's great, but for me, like I mean, contemporary music was something that I got invited to, like in my years, like as an early, when I was growing up, and until later I realized, like, okay, like I have a niche for, like I had a bend towards contemporary music,
Okay.
and here's a school who's mostly teaching contemporary music, picturizing, even before I went to the school, but like just picturizing us. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. And Abe contacted me and he said, hey man, like I'm gonna come to India, and I'm gonna come to Delhi, and you should audition. Um, I applied for the audition, never went for the audition because my father never let me, my parents never let me go to it because they were like still angry on me leaving engineering.
Uh,
This is the real
this
fact.
is the
Like
sound
they,
engineering you joined in Chennai. This is that engineering, or
yeah,
you?
yeah, I joined.
But there's
This is
mechanical
so
engineering also, right? Somewhere in the
yeah.
Chennai.
Yeah, I did like 2 years of that,
Okay.
and then I left
Okay.
in the middle, and I went to study sound. When I went to study sound, I was doing well, but my parents couldn't like understand in the first place because it was really hard back then to make parents understand in a scenario where everybody was becoming a doctor, engineer, CEO, whatever. Somebody at the door, but just it was so. Long story short, I never went to the interview. Uh, and few months later, Abe said, "Hey, there is this full ride scholarship competition that happens. Do you want to check it out?" I'm like, full ride? What is this? Like, now you're trying to give me scholarships and all. So I checked it out, Saurabh. It was really cool back then. It was really cool back then, and I kind of really was blown away with this thing where MI was sponsoring students to compete for a full scholarship at the school. So for me, like everything was just like, okay, you're providing this, you're providing that. I'm seeing these avenues. How can I work on this? Right now, I'm not looking at money. Right now, I'm looking at just opportunity. And opportunity, like when an opportunity like this is presented, you want to jump on it. So the only thing that I had to do was just make a video of me playing
And this is has to be sent from here to MI straight away
on YouTube.
on YouTube.
on
Okay.
YouTube. On YouTube. So it was YouTube. There was this website. I don't think so if it's still around or not, called Sonic Bids.
Okay.
Now Sonic Bids is something like that. They is where you can go and vote for people. So it's like you need to vote and all that. Like I did all of that stuff, and I was finishing my audio engineering
I
at
remember
that.
this. There's a message I received from you very, very long ago on Facebook saying that you've applied for something, and there's some sort of a voting system, right? That, yeah.
So the funny thing was, Emma did that for 2011, 12, and I think 13. Uh,
And this was a world,
and that was the last year.
that was a worldwide thing, or is it just specific to India?
Worldwide,
Worldwide.
worldwide, worldwide,
Okay.
worldwide. Kids would post videos. I also posted because Abe told me, and they would select people. And in back then, I had an idea where the video is still there, by the way, on YouTube. It has about it's still there, and I just had this idea of putting a drum loop and just playing stuff that I felt. I remember like going door to door back then and requesting people to vote for me as usual. People were kind enough; they voted. I made it to semi-final and all of that stuff by just online voting and all. And then I was so they had to select five people, and I was the number six
Okay.
in the final.
Huh.
This is online. Back then, the dean of MI was Stuham.
Really? Okay.
So it's gonna get like interesting, man.
So,
It's not
how
gonna
was it
get
like?
so
Just
Stu
leave the guitar place, take the bass place.
just stick to this. So what these guys had to do was all these directors had to select five people, and you won't believe. We all know who Stu Ham is. If people don't know who Stuart Ham is, please go and Google him. The thought of having Stu Ham as a director only wanted me to go to MI. forget like looking at money. I was like, still man, bro, similar, bro. Like I want to go. Like how naturally you want to be. And he was the director at MI at that point of time, and I remember, and it used to be crazy because the time difference is
Yeah.
ulta. So at night you're like waking up.
Yeah.
So I used to sleep. I used to get these calls at 2:30, 3 a.m. in the morning saying, "Mr. Harshit, you made it to the semi-final." And I'm like, "Oh,
Awesome.
like what is this going on?" So and then one morning I woke up and I saw Stu Ham commenting below my video. He says, "Great work, sir." He wrote me that,
Wow.
and then I got a call from MI in 2 hours later saying you are selected for the Fulbright scholarship competition. I was like, okay. What that did for me was it gave me an all expenses paid trip to MI to compete for that scholarship.
Ah.
This is 2012, and I lost my mind. I lost my mind, and I was like, dude, now I gotta go compete with like people, and I was like a young bull. I mean, I'm still a young bull, but I was like, "अब जाऊंगा, अब तो देखो तू, like you know, like अब दिखाऊंगा." ठीक है? And like I went, man, from Chennai.
Hmm.
I got my visa through from Chennai consulate, and a visa came in a night before I left.
Hmm.
So it was like nerve wracking. I reached there, first time US, lost my mind. Hey, क्या है bro? Like अकेले went on to study and went to compete. They put us up in a great hotel. It was neighborhood. I went to MI, saw MI how it was. Met Stuham.
Hmm.
Lost my mind. He gave me his signed CD. He gave me a hug, and I was like, क्या है? क्यों हो रहा है ये? Like you know, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए. You know, like. And then, but long story short, like this is my honest. Like I just live on those days because those days changed me, and then I came second. I got a good amount of scholarship, and I came back home.
Hmm.
That was like a recce sort of a situation.
Right.
I came back home. Thought was like, wow, went to the US, man, play bass and all. Like my mom's like, if most people, close people who know me, they know how my mother influenced my whole life. She changed everything for me. But my mother back then, like, she was like, wow, this is great. Now comes the golden question.
Hmm.
I want to attend MI.
So, but did you gain your parents' confidence by then that you can go further?
I'm coming to it.
Hmm.
I'm coming to it. I want to go to MI. Okay, so what the fees like? No, it's not happening.
So, what was the number that you had to that they quoted you after the scholarship that you got?
So it's like it was close close to around $30,000.
Okay, so which is about
That
28 lakhs. So, let's see, 21. Yeah,
yeah,
something like that. 21 lakhs.
something like that.
And that is
So
for one. That
and
is for 1 year, or is it for? That's the That's the whole course. And would you be aware of what the cost is otherwise, like estimated, a ballpark without the scholarship?
um, I think close to around 60, 65.
Okay, so it's almost like a 50% scholarship kind of situation, which is awesome, which is really good. While you studied that, okay. So
And then it landed me as an outstanding student
which we'll
for
talk
this.
about in a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
After.
yeah.
So
Good.
please keep going
Yeah,
because
yeah.
these things are important.
So
I think
then,
we'll just
yeah.
get
So
into
no,
them.
the thing is that uh, if I can say it in Hindi also, uh, if it's okay with
Yeah,
you,
it's
if I
it's
can
for
say it,
everybody.
Sarah,
Hindi, English, anything.
um, it's an investment. Investment की तरह है, you know.
Hmm.
आपको ये डिसाइड करना, आई थिंक मेरे को डिसाइड करने के लिए like 6 से 8 महीने लगे. Just think of it. You know? I mean, I come from a middle class family, and I remember that time कि बहुत बहुत मायने रखता है यार, like in music education
Hmm.
मेरे हिसाब से. एंड अगर आप स्टेप ऐसा ले रहे हो तो It involves a lot of money.
Huh.
It involves a lot of planning. So anyway, so I came back and Emma gave me a 1 year tenure saying, "एक साल में if you want to join, you can come and join again
Okay.
after the scholarship." So I was like, okay, I have 1 year, figure this out. Like my last thing was spring of 2013. Like one of my last, if you want to join, this time kar sakte ho. So I remember getting a loan was really hard. Getting a loan for music education was hard back then. I don't know how people did it, but for me, like it was really hard. I went to bank to ask them, okay, can I get a loan? They're like, for what? Music education. Oh, that doesn't come in the performer that we have.
Oh.
You know? It's all for like अगर आप डॉक्टर बन रहे हो, सीए बन रहे हो, या आर्ट्स में तो आपका कुछ आएगा आता ही नहीं है. लाइक इन द सेंस अगर आप आर्ट्स करने जा रहे हैं म्यूजिक एजुकेशन में,
Hmm.
so I was wow, like there's no way I can get a loan because you're looking at tuition fee, then living fee.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna pay like to live there, and a place like LA, which is as expensive as New York, uh, everything's expensive and everything costs money. So I went through banks to ask money, to ask for loans, and everybody was like, "We don't have a category." Until HDFC, it was HDFC. Yeah, it was HDFC. I'm still paying them. So it was a part of HDFC where they considered me because they said that because I had some sort of leverage in the sense like they saw me that I had a scholarship
Yeah.
and they saw that the school sent the recommendation letter that this kid should come, which was signed by a student. I was like, wow, and I showed it to this to the bank and they were like, "Acha, okay, we can consider this." But it would cost. It would cost everything. Every loan costs
So
something.
this then they were like, we have to give you maybe a higher interest rate because it's a risky one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what happened.
yeah,
Oh, so it was not the
yeah. So
generic
I so
education
you're
loan.
no, no, man, no, no. Like it's like कि अच्छा, okay, they'll give you a tenure कि like अच्छा आपका education gets over and then उसके बाद we'll give you like about a leverage of 6 to 8 months and then you gotta start paying it. Like general loans में आप you can set up a grace period before you start paying off the loan. When you're taking a certain X amount of money. But I remember like when I took up the loan, it was it was hefty. Like and that's the best information I can give you with the loan. And it's just like it costed to sign a lot of papers and deal with a lot of things, and it was just like okay, so it was like an all money in situation on a casino table.
Yeah.
It's like all money in. Now let's see what happens. And I was in a mind frame where I was like, okay, this is the only thing that I see myself, and I was conditioning myself to build everything around it.
Yeah.
This is just my personal thing. It's like a disclaimer saying like this is personally to me, and got the loan, figured out, did the paperwork. Oh my god, the paperwork was like for loan plus then you do the paperwork to get into a music.
Yeah.
And I had still had to give the entrance exam to MI. I still had to do everything even before after getting a great scholarship. Um, and then they said, yeah, okay, fine. Like you've been doing this, but then we got to check your regular scales and if you can play a scale up and down, if you can play 2 octaves, if you can play arpeggio, if you can probably try to solo.
Yeah.
If you can, they sent out some backing tracks and they were like, okay, can you groove to it? And then that goes to a music school like MI, and then they evaluate and then they get back to you. So even after getting a scholarship, they were like, okay, we got to check this, we got to check on this guy, and then call him.
Yeah.
So I got selected, and then I figured out a way, and then I went to the US and new country, new places. Went to MI. I remember my parents met Stuham.
When you are talking, check that camera is on you. We can't hear him.
Done. Sorry, there was a technical
What
issue. So just Vasu was telling.
what was it? All okay?
All okay now. Yeah. There's something when my video is showing, they can't hear you, but I think we'll just fix that. No problem. Cool. So you were saying,
Yes. So I was saying like I figured out a way to get a loan, and I finally got a loan, and then we figured out to get out of India and just follow myself. And I remember going to the US, like going to LA, basically. It's just made sense, man. Like it just for me, it made sense because my mother made started making me hear music that was very soul oriented, very pop oriented, and I reached the United States. And I remember getting out of the airport, and the first song that I heard was an MJ track in a cab, and I was like, bro, I have arrived. I have arrived. I have arrived. Like, forget everything. Like, oh yeah, bro. Like, this is here. I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was, and the journey was like really hardcore for me. Like, I made it hardcore for myself in order to make something out of it. But that's how, like, it was a very tedious process. It's a tedious process. I don't know about how people do it with them in going to Berkeley and all, but for me, it was tedious because I was trying to do everything with my own self and with my parents involved, and I would go gazillion emails, gazillion phone calls with MI, with Abe, going to the bank, getting this cleared, going to this, taking financial reports and about bank accounts, and then he was sending it to MI. And then, because of the time difference, you're just going back and forth, back and forth. Your sleep time is your work time, and work
yeah.
time is just their sleep time. So you've got to,
So
yeah,
basically, what happened was then when you're calling it, you said MI was an accident. It basically means that the way things started forming or formulating themselves around you, it so happened that you
right.
got more and more deeper into that MI process. So which is it then that you never did the research or you didn't ever want to go deeper into seeing what Berkeley is offering, what kind of money is there, what kind of scholarship
I
is.
did. I did look at Berkeley. I did look at Berkeley. I was in contact with a bunch of people for Berkeley as well around that point in
And
time.
any other schools you
People,
went into or tried your thing that you want to go?
I looked at like UCLA, but then you were just like looking at like in parts of LA, like like UCLA is there, which has the Thelonious Monk Institute
Right.
inside UCLA as a part of the curriculum and a part of like whatever program they're giving. So I did do my research while living in MI. Also, I did do my research. Okay, like some people jumped the bandwagon saying like, okay, I will do MI and then we'll do associates at MI and then we'll go and do bachelor's at Berkeley and then we'll go and do masters somewhere. Like that was like the generic talk. Like okay, you're here at MI. Like for some it was a for some people they thought that this was a starting school. For some people they thought that this was it. For some people they were like, okay, this is where I belong and this is where I want to do things and this is why the city that I want to live in because you want to work after like getting an education. I mean that's one of the
So
things.
as far as paying back of the loans was concerned, were you thinking only living there and working there and generating enough revenue from gigs and paying the loan back? Or had you planned to come back and then do the repayment of the loan by yourself?
Man, life was pretty unfortunate because my mother fell ill,
Yes, yes.
and that's why I came back. And that's why I came back. But my whole goal was to bust my ass and just keep working there.
Hmm.
Like because the thing is that, um, but then I read the stats, and this is where the hard fact comes in, and then you realize, okay, how are you going to survive? Because in LA standpoint alone, there are about 80 to 90,000 just musicians.
Right.
When you're talking about a city that has 90,000 musicians and probably 30,000 bass players,
Hmm.
how are you going to survive?
Hmm.
And you put in the money. So the thing is, like, what I looked at it was like we all want to jump on the first part, invest the money, go in. What the way I looked at it was, I have invested the money. Now where do I go from here?
Hmm.
So I started my education in such manner. My education was also very funny. Like it's just the first day of my school, I cried. My teacher was somebody who I'll tell you who my teacher was, and that's also like
Hmm.
retarded. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is like I didn't plan ki okay, I'm gonna come back and start repaying, or I'm gonna live. But one thing that for sure was ki I wanna work. I wanna work. I wanna maximize. How can I maximize my education? how can I maximize being in this hall that I am walking in? You know what I mean?
So there was this
Um,
belief inside that I'm gonna do this, what I love to do. I'm gonna go get the finest
I had
education.
no choice, man. I had no choice. Like for me, like the thing in my life personally, as me as a musician, is not as just as a musician in life. General, I have not been given choices. If I've just been given stuff, and you have to build, you have to work around it. You know what I mean? So for me, when I landed MI, like it was just like okay, I have to do something, I have to do this, and I have to do it in a way where I am satisfied sleeping every night, and then I foresee. Nobody can predict the future, and it's stupid to just sit and think about like, okay, I want to be. I desperately see myself like here because every time you plan, some life happens. So what I took into consideration was ki, okay, if this is my quarter that I'm studying, how can I tackle this? You know, how can I pitch? How can I work around with my teachers, or how can I maximize my education, or how can I pick up stuff from places inside the school? Because either you can be a tunnel vision and just focus on what you're doing, which we have to do because we have gone to do that for sure. But if you keep your ears open, you might just pick up a lot of things, and that's exactly how I picked up opportunities, or opportunities came to me, or I picked up XYZ things from other people who were in the school, but they had other things to offer.
Like you're
You know what I
talking
mean?
about work wise, like gig wise, you're talking about?
Work wise, more than the work wise, just education wise also,
Right.
man. Like I met like people who like this very good friend of mine. Um, he taught me how to understand the natural number system.
Hmm.
Emma wasn't teaching natural number system,
Yeah.
but his father was a main guy in the national scene, and he taught him. And him and me, my friend and me, were just sitting in class one day, and we were like, he was just writing charts with numbers, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing this? Like I've seen this before.
Hmm.
What is this? How you doing it like this? Like क्या है? How are you doing the number system? And then I was like, number लिख रहा है क्या कर रहा है भाई?
Hmm.
And then he told me like, okay, this is the system that we follow to read charts,
Right.
you know. And I was like, wow, man, like I barely pick these things up. Like, I mean, music. See, I say that any music school is like a big library,
Hmm.
you know. And you walk into a library, and there are books. The books are like your repertoires that you have to study, and then there are like these people who will guide you to pick up the book, you know. And that's what every school has different amount of categories of books. So every music school is a library, and you just walk into a library and you can just pick up what you want. In the middle you find people who will guide you through things, and then you reach out to other people who are not a part of it. Like for me, I wanted to tell this later, but I'm going to tell you right now is like I used to love listening to drum classes. I would just go and sit in drum classes. Yeah,
Hmm.
like when my stuff is over, I fascinate listening to drummers. I fascinate listening to the way the rhythm is used in context of music, and how these people are doing paradiddles, because LR dikh raha hai, but like it was amazing to see 30 people doing LR, and I used to wanted to just go and understand कि कर क्या रहे हैं, like what are they doing? Why is that teacher like playing this beat in such a way? You know, as a bass player, it helped me.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's the aspect of being in the school and absorbing all these things. Around all this,
So
when you were, let's say, you knew that you had an interest rate which is higher than the usual thing, and this loan is piling up in the background. What was that feeling like? Were you sure that tomorrow, when I hit the road, I'm going to make this money back and I'm going to make things happen again, pay this back? Or was there always a worry about how is this going to work? How am I going to pay this money back?
um, man, um, and I say this, I'm very inspired by Michael Jordan,
Hmm.
and Muhammad Ali.
Hmm.
I realized that these people had this non-defeating belief inside them that they wanted to do what they're doing, and even if they have arrived there with nothing, they have to make out of something. As philosophical it is, or as goal driven it is, I had this goal that, of course, man, like deep down inside, I used to think like every month passing by, I'm giving $750 for a small studio where I do not even have an amp, and I'm sitting in the bathroom and practicing because that is something that my teacher told me. Because he's from Canada and
Studio apartment, you mean, right?
I lived in a studio
Uh,
apartment, and a studio apartment back in that day costed no less than $750, which is 38,000 every month. Let me say, I used to do them. मैं xe.com खोलता ही नहीं था. Like after xe.com money converter तो मैंने बंद कर दिया था. I remember, like I remember at one point of time, um, the Indian rupee dropped so badly against the dollar that my parents sent me the money for my housing plus rent, like housing plus like chota mota, like groceries and all. And the money that after the transfer it came to me, the money was only for the rent.
ah,
So I remember for about 1.5 months, I was just living on milk, and I just milk, just drinking milk. That's all. Like, and when if a friend of mine just wanted to treat me with something, they treated me. But I've seen times like those, like
no, I
as a
remember
person.
that you were saying when we met in LA, when I met you there first time,
Yes, yes,
and you said that there
that's the
is,
first time we
yeah,
met.
yeah, that's the first time we met. So in LA, you were like, hey, let's go have this yogurt, frozen yogurt, because it's
Yes,
very filling,
yes,
and then we don't have to eat khana after this. Something like that you told
yeah,
me, and we went there to
yeah.
have that frozen yogurt. Man, it was fantastic.
It's really good. It's fantastic.
So my other thing was that when you go abroad, do you have to work? Do you have to have another job apart from studying in the college, or can you survive without that?
And
And
you basically can't work. When you're studying as a student, you can't work. That's what the government says, and that's the
and
rule.
there are
You can't work. You can get internship, like as in like some internship. Like so, am I? So I did a library job at MI
but okay,
for a while.
that gives you some little money, right?
But that money is like okay, what you can go and have like two Big Macs and you're done.
You're done.
You're done. You're done. Probably you can't even I remember back then, like I did a library job. I used to the library job used to be like at wee hours. So you're studying, you're playing bass, you're doing these classes, and then after that you go into the library and you check guitars for people, you give books to people, you give instructional DVDs to people. So in that sense, I also got very lucky because I got a vault of these instructional DVDs, which are very less for the bass players. But I used to watch like instructional DVDs of Jojo Mayer, Dennis Chambers. I saw this one DVD of Miles Davis where Miles is just talking trash, but it's so amazing because it's just like Miles Davis because he can do whatever he wants, and he's a big influencer in my life. And it's just it's just like it was like I said, sort of like I was hunting.
Hmm.
It's just like hunting for more learning.
So while this learning was happening there, you realize you can't work. That's when you got these scholarships there, like right, which were
No, so the thing was that,
how does that work
and
when you're in the school and you have to get more scholarships inside the school while you're studying there?
I got lucky, man. So MI is in the center of the heart of Hollywood,
Right.
and companies that we admire
Hmm.
are swarming like bees. They do their thing. Like I still remember, Dear Dario used to do a day out, right? Day out. Like you have people like Steve Vai,
Hmm.
uh, Periphery, Misha Mansoor, and all these people just walking in playing. And then Deodari is giving you a goodie bag which has tuner and a string and all that. And you're like, bro, like, बच गया मैं तो like मेरे को पैसे नहीं बच गए
It's
मेरे,
like Prashad.
because Deodario प्रसाद मिल गया जी ऐसे, और इतना अच्छा टोट बैग भी मिलता था. I used to keep save all the tote bags are in my house. Like I saved all the tote bags. They were like so nice. But the thing what I'm telling you is like all of these companies used to show up, and one of the major collaborators for MI for the longest has been ESP, this
Hmm.
company, ESP, which makes guitars.
LTD.
So ESP used to do scholarships, and Didar used to do scholarships.
Hmm.
What is this company? This company, how can I forget it? DiMarzio used to do pickup scholarships. Now these are internal scholarships, first of all. Like you can apply for them, then you compete again in the concert hall, and then you win it. So I won two of the scholarships. Where one was an ESP scholarship that I just internally I won, and there was another scholarship. And what happened is basically these scholarships, what they gave me a value which I could use in my next semester. Now, I, as a retard, first scholarship I won, I took extra credits. Now, for me, taking 15 credits is a lot of work in music school. Credit system versus one credit is like one subject. So, और 2 credit का एक subject होगा या 3 credit का एक subject होगा plus उसकी एक like playing class होगी. So it used to be like that. I took credits, I took more credits. So I basically burnt out myself. But what it did was when I took more, so I don't know, man, I just was intelligent back then, maybe. I just, I
Shout out to
I think
yourself.
shout out to me. I just, just, I just, just, I'm still intelligent for that. But I'm saying like what I did was like I would take like, and this is interesting sort of. I took like 2 more credits in this. Let's say if I'm doing in the quarter, what that did in the next quarter, I had to pay less tuition fee for the remaining amount. So because I had taken extra effort in these 3 months, so the next 3 months I had to pay lesser than the stipulated amount because that got
So
recovered.
you didn't have to attend those subjects, so you had to pay less tuition fees. It's like that.
No. I had to take less
Less
credits. So
credits.
in the US system, at least I, from my understanding, everything works on credit system in the sense like you have to take a certain credit to pass a quarter,
Right.
you know, with your attendance. So it's up to you how many credits you take. Sometimes people take 14 credits, sometimes they take 12 credits. 12 credits in each logo to school mein jana. Yeah, but 12 credits, like it used to be like, okay, you take a certain amount of credit and you finish your quarter. Now, if you want to maximize yourself, you can increase your credit. Nobody's stopping.
Okay, so it's like if you finish that many credits, you're done with the quarter. You don't have to keep spending time.
You're done with the
Okay. So
no. So what I did was that with these scholarships, which came as a grant for tuition, I used that number to take more credits in the next quarter, but then it exempted me to take because you see a course is built with a certain credit time. Let's say 150 credits or 120 credits. अगर आपने अपने credits पहले ही खत्म कर दिए तो आपके पास time बचेगा.
ठीक है.
In the sense like you would time बचेगा in the sense like you will have a lot more credits to take. So let's say like and my credits were like my subjects were so cool that I wanted to take everything. Like I was doing James Jameson baselines, I was doing Paul McCartney baselines, I was doing Tara Pa baselines, I was doing Jaco Pastorius.
These are specific courses there in the institution that they teach it like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would go in depth for 3 months understanding just McCartney baselines.
And they're not throwing, or not throwing is not the right word, but they're not putting you into the same standard jazz standard curriculum. Like generally that's what happens in a lot of schools, or is it a separate study?
I don't know about how other schools work. Sort like I just did not get into.
But was
I would
jazz
talk
put
to
on to you in the beginning itself, or did you have this whole other contemporary side?
my teacher who later became my boss because I started working at MI. He was a hard knock, and he put me on to listening to jazz. He's like, "Hey, why don't you try this?" Because there was Emma has an upright room, meaning there are only upright basses in that room. There are about 4 basses. You can take that room whenever you want after school, and you can sit there. And that room looks like you're sitting in Smalls. Like एक कोना है Smalls का 4 कोने का उसमें बैठे. It's like it's beautiful. And back then, like the teachers there was just so amazing. Like I can't put the stress upon like my private lessons was used to happen at like 8 in the morning.
Mm.
Who puts private lesson at 8 in the morning? Only my teacher. Why? Because he wants to screw the fuck out of me. Why? Because he thinks that I can do something out of it. Because he saw it,
Mm.
and he told me after I graduated.
Mm.
He used to always make me come second. Why? Because he thinks that I would only be able to push more. You know. Because for me, like, and for me, like, it's always been like that. Like for me, peers, if somebody's pushing you, somebody's making you do stuff, you dive into it. And it was so hard. It was so hard back then. It was so hard transcribing. What are you trying to make me do? Transcribe? Like I can't even look at my bass properly. Like there were nights where I used to be. It used to be so hard. Like because the thing is, when you're studying for like from 9 to 5, you go in doing homeworks,
Mm.
and then you have to transcribe. So you put in the work, and that is something like we will talk about it. But yeah, like I mean, I coming back to your point, like of scholarships, like these scholarships helped me internally
Mm.
to get things moving in and around. Also, what it did was key. You couldn't work outside, but if you're good at school, the word of mouth went outside in the industry that there is this kid who's at MI who looks like Mexican, but he's Indian. He can play.
Mm.
That's how it went. That's how my mentor, like who I look up to now, and is still talking, and he's with me, and who's the bass player at one of my all-time favorite gigs. He got to know about me while I was studying at MI,
Mm.
because the word goes out. Because the teachers there are working on the role. So basically, my teacher who taught me how to play synth bass plays with Anderson Park right now.
Oh,
If you watch that NPR concert,
yeah.
that black
It's the
guy,
greatest.
fat guy, that black fat guy is my friend, and he taught me how to play synth bass. And he studied from Carlos Campos, who's just an amazing Brazilian piano player. So it landed in such a way that I met people who were on the job while they were teaching you in school. So if they found you like, okay, you're dope, you're like doing able to do things, and you're a good go getter, so they'll automatically the word will go.
Mm. So
That's also very
so
interesting.
networking happens very nicely like this. But of course, you have to put in the work. You have to be good. You have to commit to that time of work. So you're saying 9 to 5 of school, doing homework.
9 to 5 school, homeworks, and then trying to figure like, um, I got damn lucky. I used to live like 5 minutes away from home. There are people who used to live like 1 hour away, 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away because of like money constraints, and they can't afford. Like most people were sharing rooms. For me, like I got damn lucky to find a small studio apartment for myself. I like to live by myself. That's how I've like been
So
like I've
if
grown
we're
up. You know.
talking Indian currency, how much about does it take to like including your rent and food, let's say, and your general expenses? 1 month figure,
My my father used to give me $1,000. Karna hai karo, nahi karna mat karo.
70,000 rupees, about 70,000 rupees.
70,000 rupees. That is like the least that you can look at. Now the rent has gone really up, man. Really up. Like this is what I'm talking. 2013,
Yeah.
like 20, like it's gone up. Like somebody was telling me like to rent out a 2 BHK. I was just talking to a friend of mine. He said to rent out a 2 BHK in Hollywood is $2,500 a month minimum.
Hmm.
Like a good 2
And you
BHK,
can't work on
a good
on that
nice.
visa.
Can't work on things. You can't work. I landed my first gig where I never got paid uh, or anything, but used to go and try to work out as a musician with a church gig.
So
I'm so something. We'll talk.
so considering the time now, I mean, it's been about 7 years. Maybe we can double the figure. So let's say
Easily, man. Like I just
1.5 lakhs a
आपका
month.
studio like I think if I was playing 750, it can easily be around 900 now. Assuming these are just assumption numbers. But what I'm trying to tell you, this is a lot of money. It's like जहाँ हम सोचते हैं कि हम एक uh, the currency rate was different back then, but like now it's different, so it's like expensive now. Uh, it is expensive
Yeah, and of
in
course
all
you
in
can
all.
take the loan only for your education, and your college, and you can't take loan for these daily expenses, which is something that everybody has to consider before they go abroad to study in a music college. And of course,
No, but what I did was like, yeah, continue,
no, I
continue.
mean, I'm saying that of course the experiences that you're mentioning, the kind of people that you are around who are ready to give you if you have the appetite, if you are hungry for more, that all that sounds fantastic. But of course, there's the financial aspect to it, which everybody must think of and consider.
My mom believed a lot in me, man.
Hmm.
My mom believed a lot in me. So my mom believed a lot in me. My father believed. My parents believed a lot in me. My parent still, my dad still. I'm sure my mother somewhere, wherever she is, like she believes in me, and my father believes in me. Um, what it did to me is it gave me the push.
Hmm.
I used to talk to my parents. My mother used to give me these advices where I would just feel like knocked out, man, in the school. क्या नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. Man, the first day of my school, I cried.
Why?
This very famous, this very famous bass player, my teacher, my guru. There's only one slap bass line video on YouTube by him called Alexis Klarisky.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Canadian bass player. Bass players should know this guy. He's a legend. Um, he's the guy,
Alexis Claris. Tell me the
Alexis
spelling, bro.
Klarisky. Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
Can't pronounce his last name, so just to call it Canada. Um,
So I'm writing
um,
a kind of a dummy last name spelling. I'm just putting it on the group so that people can see the.
it's Alexis Sklar Sklar
SCLARE. Uh
Sklar
huh. EV
EVSKI.
SKI.
Canadian bass player. Um, Played the Woodstock Festival with Crosby, Still and Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Legendary guy. Probably the guy who taught me everything. Was my private lesson teacher. He so the first quarter they chose you. Then basis on what GPA you made per quarter, you could choose your teacher. So he chose me because I was the scholarship winner. So I went, I went in the private lesson room. And private lesson is just like when we're talking like in a room, and he comes to me and he's like, Harsh, because there's shit in my name, so he called me Harsh. Very nice guy. So he's like, um, so you're the guy from India. What? What do you want to do? I want to play bass. I want to be like Victor Wooten. बताऊंगा मैं. So he turned to me. So he turned to me. He's like, "You want to play solo bass, right? Yeah. Okay, play. Couldn't play, man. Couldn't play what I thought in my head to what I wanted to play. This is the first day in school. First day, first class is a private lesson with a teacher.
Ah.
स्कूल में क्लास में भी 30 लोगों के साथ नहीं बिठाया, पहले एक ही जाके बंदे के साथ बिठाया, तो वो पढ़ो भाई. So, and then what he told me was, man, you gotta get your shit together. That's what he told me. And I said, man, like I want to learn from you. And he picked up the bag and left. He left me.
Really?
That's the first day of yeah. He picked. No, he was kind enough and he said, man, you gotta get your thing together. And then he left.
Okay.
It changed my life. I had him for 5 quarters. 1.5 साल मैं उनसे पढ़ता रहा. He taught me how to understand music, how to look at it, how to perceive, how I can approach music in ways where I never thought. Plus his experience as a studio musician. He is a person who sight reads theatrical gigs. Sight reading theatrical gigs. Are you out of your mind? Like you are sight reading while the theatrical gig is happening for 1 hour and you're playing the music. That was inspiring because I was like, wow, man. And like he used to scare the fuck out of me. He'd be like, "You don't know how to read, no? You're missing 60% of the gigs, man. What would you do?" He used to make me feel like, यार ये कह रहा है ऐसे रीडिंग करने के लिए यार मैं रीडिंग
Huh.
करनी चाहिए क्योंकि because I would be able to cover spectrums. And you won't believe the first gig that I got was through a reading gig in LA.
And
And the best thing was and sorry, and I'll
yeah.
finish this. The call that I got was the best call. Hey, are you Hash? Yeah, 7:30 p.m. Where? Reading gig. Bye. That's all. I went there. और दो वो नहीं होते गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस में तो फाइलें पड़ी होती हैं ऐसे
Huh.
ऐसे फाइलें रख दी मेरे सामने पढ़ो जी
So
ये पढ़ो क्या पढ़ूं
so that got
but I read
you
it.
basically that got you into that whole space of reading and playing. But that was of
So
course outside India, right? Do you come across any reading sight reading gigs here in India? Have you done any sight reading gigs recently? Because that's something we are not.
and I feel I I would mention this that um, I came to India and I started playing, and the first I won't say sight reading, but like a chart reading gig was with Bolly Jones, with Nikhil Munkin.
Which is
He writes,
mostly
sorry,
reading chord charts, right? Like not like
reading chords. No. The thing was that I had nuances that I had to play,
okay. Specific
like
bass lines were written.
specific bass lines, or not even specific bass lines, but hits, and I had to play a certain way, crescendo, decrescendo, if there's a solo, and then how many bars. But that's also chord chart. But like it was the first time when I read, read stuff. But what I'm saying is like when I went to MI, I was not a reader,
Right.
and then I learned this art of reading, this correct way, which I still follow today. And what it did to me was it added a skill set. I'm sorry, Saurabh, but I've gone to places where I've read a lot. I've seen a lot of this question comes up: is reading important?
Hmm.
Is this important? Is that important? I think like anything, any skill set is important.
Right.
Having a skill set is important. Like for you, it will help you somewhere. You know? And like I love rhythm section playing. There was a there was a there was a subject for all the 5 semesters that I did where rhythm section playing best class. Just love it, man. Drummer के साथ बजाने को मिलेगा. But we're playing songs, we're understanding styles. So this is fun, man. So, anyways, sorry I deviated from the topic.
No, no, it's fine. I mean, just it's good to hear all these stories. My also Piyush has asked on the live chat. He's wondering. Of course, you got all that exposure there, going to that school, trying to study. But of course, as you said, it's costing a lot of money, and everybody doesn't have access to
Sure.
that kind of money. What is your
Sure.
take on what are the other ways, other methods people can receive good music education while they are here? I mean, of course, there's one thing that you can take online lessons. And
Right.
do you think, of course, to my understanding, it's not the same experience, but do you think still it can add enough value to somebody's life, somebody's musicality, if they can have access to such teachers who are abroad? And should they try to attempt studying people who are abroad and get that kind of money together at least?
Uh, I feel um, like see now with this age of internet, right? Uh, Accessing to your favorite bass player is easy compared to how it was. You know it about. You know what I
Right.
mean. Like it was. I feel like if you can't go somewhere, you know, if you can't go for a music college, initially, I feel like you can reach out for a lesson. Before you do reach out for a lesson, I feel like you can you should know like what approach you want to take. You know? uh, and I hope I'm answering the question right
Yes, yes.
because you need to get an approach in yourself कि like ठीक है भाई लाइक अगर मैं देख रहा हूँ कि बेस प्लेइंग कर रहा हूँ, तो इफ आई एम ग्रूविंग, देन आई नीड टू फर्स्ट सी वेयर हाउ व्हाट इज द अप्रोच. Of course you can't foresee what you will become, but you can reach out to players who you think are interesting you, if they are interesting you. Agar aap like for me, like I wanted, Alexis interested me so much. He just wanted me to be like, he's the guy I wanted to look up to. But till now, when I'm back in India, sometimes some players interest me. Like I'm like, okay, wow, this is nice. I want to go and see what he's doing. Maybe try to take a lesson. You know, that early inquisitiveness, is required from you. And then, अगर हमारे पास resources अब नहीं है, तो we can slowly invest some investment. When I every time I talk about investment is the money that comes out from you, we can slowly try to invest into learning private lessons from people, see how we are progressing with them, and then eventually go ahead,
Right.
with things.
I remember Scott Devine once mentioning, I don't exactly remember the story, but the outline of it is that he couldn't get into music colleges even after being good. There was something wrong with his grades or some paperwork. So
Sure.
even he was good, like they wanted him in the school, but there was something up with his paperwork. So he was denied from
Right.
schools, and then he said that I had to take another route out, which was just studying privately with every bass player I loved. So he got in touch with everybody, studied with some of them on Skype or online, and then he eventually just started flying to their places, which also costed him lesser money. Like he sometimes flies to go to Gary Willis and go study with him.
Gary Willis. On नहीं पड़ा Gary Willis से.
So that's a very interesting thing. I mean, I find out that if you figure out if you want to do it and you have limited budget, of course you'll have to create a budget like any other education in life.
Budgeting is very important. Like आपको पता होना चाहिए कि like देखो आप like sort of like I when I initially went to the US, like I got into the whole party culture and everything. Like I won't fear of saying that. Like I mean I got like blown away by LA, But then that focus comes in. That conscience should talk to you. Like it's a very like it's budgeting. So then you realize. So then the whole question of you asking, like, yeah, every month was passing by, so that the burden of what money that you pay, that kicks in, man. At least it kicked in for me. 1 year down the line, I was like, एक साल हो गया यार. Like I've spent so much money.
Huh. And I have
And then parents also try to, like they ask, like, "अच्छा बेटा, क्या किया आपने?"
no, but I think
You know,
your journey, which talks about working towards gaining those scholarships, that extra time that you could buy by doing more credits in lesser time. So how long did it take for you to pay back the loan? Is it still on or has it been
I'm
paid?
still some
It's
still.
and you
Still.
passed out when? How long ago did you pass out?
I passed out 2014.
2014. So
I started in like late of
and
2012, and I passed out in 14, and still repaying for my house that I paid in LA.
very interesting. And do you think India or any other country, wherever one wishes to work in, is it
Yeah.
lucrative enough that you can earn your money in terms of numbers enough that you can pay back the loan and have a decent life, or are there months which I'm also from the same thing, so I know that there are months which are kind of low, which give you lesser money. What kind of perspective do you have about that, as to when you do not earn enough to pay back your loan? How do you deal with that?
Can you quickly say that question again? I got like really lost.
Asking that
Huh.
when you have to pay the loan back, do you think music pays you back enough? Like in an engineering job or any other job, you know that this much money is coming in. This is my education loan installment, and this is my livelihood money.
I I personally, I don't want to bring my personal life, but I've gone through a really hard time in my life, as in where I had my loan, still I have, and my mother fell ill.
Yes, I'm like, I mean, that
That
was a hard time
was
period
that
for you.
was, but 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 the thing is that when you just talk about musically, uh, I don't know how to say it. Sort of like I think of just being a go-getter, like just feeling, man, like just feeling that you can go out there. You know, you can really go out there. I understand that if you're an introvert, you have it's really hard, or if you're too extrovert, then you can be misunderstood. But like I feel like the music gives you back if you invest. Like it's if you wholeheartedly invest into it, it will give it back to you in some way or the other. Of course, there are more easier said than done. 9 times out of 10, always we land up in situations where it does not work the way I would say things. And that's when I say that each journey to its own. But the bottom line is that if you really put your head to it, it will give out. Yeah? We are go all doing music, and we all, at some point of time do understand that the business aspect is also there. You know, but for some people, maybe you can judge musicians saying that, oh no, he's just doing it for the limelight, maybe he's just doing it for the money, maybe he's not just doing it because he's just doing it for the music, but we're all doing it. But the bottom line is that we can't omit the finances that we've invested, because everybody has invested some sort of into the education,
Right.
in their ways, and then it has to come back, because for people like me who come from a middle class family, I have to give it back to my parents. Like for me, the I think the nicer way I would say that I gave it back to my parents was getting the first scholarship.
Right.
Like when I got a large chunk of scholarship, it made my parents believe that, okay, this kid can do something.
Right.
So it's just like it's like if you it music will give back something, but it's just like, okay, like uh, man, you got to do, like, you got to put in like the effort, like you can't. I feel like music will get back in some way. Yeah.
So when you're saying that, you have to think of the business aspect also of music. Do you consciously
Right.
sit down and think about the decisions you're going to make, which are going to pay you more money? Some decisions which are not going to pay you so much money, but I are going to challenge you to play the music that you like to do. How do you balance that out?
I I don't. I keep a very fine line with the business and the money. The music, sorry, business and the music. The music comes first for sure.
Right.
I love playing music. I love giving myself into it. I realized with all the hardships that I've gone through, money is a very important part, and I look into it. I never bring the money always like saying money is the thing, but money is required. It's a requirement, to run your life. For me, like I look at music first if it's connecting me. For the longest time, I remember I never looked at the money, but it became a necessity. Actually, it was a necessity for me during my mother's hardship, during my family's hardship,
Right.
and it is a necessity to run our house as we grow. We realize that it is something that is required, and we do give our 100% to the music. We do give our everything to the music, uh, and we keep giving on to it.
Right.
Like that's the whole idea of us putting us so many hours, or us giving everything that we got.
So, do you spend time making any kind of a strategy or a future plan where you can kind of project that if I do this, like if I start.
No,
No, it's
no,
mostly
I don't
in the
plan.
moment.
No, I
Okay.
don't plan. I don't say I hate planning, but the last time I planned, my life changed.
Hmm.
That's all I can say. The last time I planned, my life changed. I'm spontaneous. I plan small. I plan small, very small. Plan realistic. I plan realistic and
But your
small.
goals are also
But I don't like.
goals are also clear that I have to make money, I have to make this much money, and then I have to take decisions around that. But it's not like I'm going to do this as a 5-year plan.
I 5 year and the 3 year plan, like it's cool, man. Like it's cool. Like if it works, it floats boat for people. Cool. But more than the plan, I feel I believe in the moment now. Now, how can I bring about now? How can I do things now? You know, how can I make now better so that the coming days, because I have lived for 5.5 years. I've lived on one day at a time. And I as a human being, I rush into. We are human beings. We're not perfect. So I have rushed into monthly. I've rushed into nahi, sab aaj hi chahiye. But then you realize, कि नहीं, bro, it's one day at a time. It's going one day at a time. Like
Small
I had to
steps.
figure out a day at a time. I had to figure it out a day at a time. I had to foresee things. Very blessed with opportunities that came around me. Very blessed with the people who stuck with me because they believed something in me that I never saw in me. And that comes in with time, with things, with people, and the money comes. Money comes. The one wise guy told me one time, like I was broke as hell, uh, in LA. He said, "Man, like just keep putting the work. Just keep putting the work, putting the work, putting the work. Like it's hard, man. It's hard. It was hard to set and done, but you keep putting the work every day. Sort of like it will. It has to come.
Right.
It will come in its own way, but it will come. So
That's an interesting way of functioning. So also the other thing I see is that there's a lot of times when I've seen you in Bombay or other places in a music festival somewhere. I see you do this one thing very well, which is networking, which is trying to get in touch with people, letting them know what you do, what your brand is, and you even propose to them, maybe,
shout out to me.
to you, to the old you, to the current you, and the future you. So shout out to three
Shout out
people.
to HashBass. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to stop you.
No problem. So I'm saying that is this networking aspect, first of all, how important do you think it is? Second, did you develop this over time, or did you just naturally felt that I just want to go and talk to people? I just want to go talk to them, work with them.
And networking is a very misunderstood, can be very misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
In these times and in these times that we live, networking can be so misunderstood. You reaching out for the goodwill of somebody can be perceived as you buttering them, or sometimes you reaching out to somebody, you not reaching out to somebody can be the biggest. Oh, this guy's showing me attitude. You know what I mean? Like networking is a very misunderstood thing. That's one thing. But on the flip side, I don't actively want to go and network with people. Sometimes you being you can just attract.
Mm.
I believe that you being an original, you being like not trying to. भाई आज तो मैं इससे ये gig लेके
Yeah,
जाऊंगा. Like,
that becomes a burden. That guy becomes a burden.
yeah, no. So the thing is that if I'm at festivals or something, like I meet people, and I'd respect them for what they do, and I would talk to them. Yeah, of course, we are go-getters, we are hustlers, we want to get it. Like we, we want to get it, we want to get things done, and that's cool. Even I do it. But what I realized is uh, that you talk and then you build something in that moment. It is about energy, you know. And like if my energy is not happening, some days I don't feel like talking to people. Some days I don't feel like getting into a networking scenario because it's exhausting. Some days you just don't want to talk to somebody. It's really hard for introvert people. I say that time and again because I closely live and deal with people who are not as expressive as you think you can. So, and this is a question that was asked in MI, I remember, by somebody who was damn shy to talk,
Hmm.
you know. And then they said, "Oh, I go to the NAM show and I don't know how to talk to somebody." And they said, "You don't need to talk to somebody. Sometimes you playing your music, sometimes you putting your art talks for itself." So it's not always I'm trying to talk to somebody. It's sometimes my playing in that scenario on that day when you saw me made certain difference that a person came up to me who was standing on a side stage was like, "Hey man, it's pretty cool," and then you strike a conversation.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're just like, okay, you had a conversation. Sometimes that guy never comes back to you. Sometimes years later that guy comes up and calls you and he's like, "Hey man, you remember? I remember seeing you that gig." It's like somebody. I just saw an interview of Victor Wooten saying that uh, he was with Michael Lee, and I'm sure you've seen that he's sitting and playing a Smokey Robinson bass line, and he says, "It's not about what you say, it's not about how you say it, it's about how you made people feel."
Yeah.
You know, it's about how you made people feel at that time.
Yeah.
There's something that made you feel. That's why we are talking here. You wanted to talk to
Hmm.
me. You know, so it's like when I go to like festivals, like of course I'm a goofball. Like I wanna like chatter around and just do what I do best. Shout out to me. I was just, but 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 just just yeah, man, like just I feel like it's all about energy. It's all about making yourself feel all right or making the environment feel good. And yeah, I mean, we could be sitting in the stock market and fighting, but we're doing music, bro.
Hmm.
Like we can just it's a fun environment. I know it gets really stressful when you're at festivals. You and me, we know like how it's just like chalo 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 jaldi karo. But like it's cool, bro. Like I think networking. I would say this more than the networking. I believe in relationships.
Hmm. So your craft should be, you should work on your craft. You work on your art form. Make it, uh, make people
Being
make people
you.
feel something. When they feel something, they come to you. They talk to you. You strike a conversation, and then you take it from there.
It's not always right. Like sometimes it's gone the other way. Like it's just like, bro, like I think I should have not talked to that person. And just like, ouch, like my playing was like really not happening good today. But on good days is what I told you. What can happen. It's like it really. I feel like if my playing with Pradeep made people feel something,
Hmm.
I've done. My work's done.
I surely feel a lot of stuff, man. When I listen to those that music, it's just next level amazing. I mean, I'm really deeply touched after a long time by something like this, and it's it's very unique in a manner. The way he raps,
It came out
the way he does
the
stuff.
King,
Yeah.
the King EP came out at a time. And I'm sorry, this is an extra information, but this is, I know, I'm sure there are some people in the chats or some people who will watch this because they love what me and Pradeep did. The King EP came at a time where both, at least I was suffering. I was suffering
Hmm.
for myself, like, and I wrote that music, expressed my bass. There are bass solos in there.
Hmm.
There are correct bass solos in hip hop music that I've put down.
Hmm.
And now I go and listen to it. मैंने कहा एक मिनट मैंने bass solo बजाया इसमें. But it's there. It has a feeling attached to it, and it's there. What it did is what it still reflects to people. There is a song called Amar, which is a radio hit right now.
Hmm.
It plays on radio
Hmm.
in Delhi.
Hmm.
So that song, straight from the lyrics to the music to everything, I listen to it because it makes me feel a certain way, even after releasing it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's how you make people
So
feel. Anyway,
also Harshit, you're endorsing a lot of companies. Like there's Dario, there's Fender.
Shh. It is G Dario. Fender, I've been, people don't know, but I've been with Fender for 4 years now.
So my other thing is that there's of course a certain way of
And
approaching this as to what one can add to their life or their musicality or just public presence or social media presence. What is it that commits a brand or creates a commitment between a brand and the artist? Is there something specific you do, something specific you follow that leads you to be the right person for the brand to be getting in touch with? What is it like for you to be able to complete this journey that I want to endorse Dario, I want to endorse Fender? How do you approach that?
um, that endorsement is promoting something that you love, and a company vouching in where they love what you do.
Hmm.
A lot of people, and I'm a victim of this myself. Not victim, I would say like I'm the hands up to this. Back in 2014, everybody was running for endorsements.
Hmm.
I went to the NAM show. Everybody wanted
Hmm.
endorsements. ये चाहिए भाई free में. Like it's just doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way anymore. Like for me, like I feel like endorsement is a brand building with you.
And it's a
It's
huge
you as a
responsibility, right? It's not just free stuff.
it is a year, man. I sort of, you saw me play, you've seen me play Fender Jazz for eons.
Yeah.
Any gig, you've seen that white bass is lying right there.
Yeah.
That bass is like something else. But what I'm trying to tell you is like I was at a time in my life where I was just trying to find endorsements, just trying to get the name out. just trying to get media marketing attention. But what I learned is like companies vouching on you when you are doing something righteous for yourself. And if you're doing something by yourself, for yourself, they will notice you and they'll be like, this is interesting. Maybe we can go along with this guy because, of course, he's using our product. But and then you immediately realize, oh, maybe I can uh, take that name and build my brand and keep doing what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what I do. I've been playing Fender for 4 years now.
Hmm.
I play different basses when it's required for different sessions and all, and that's required as a studio musician that I am on the side. But I love Fender and I just start using it. Didario happened really soon. A friend of mine just put me on saying like, "Hey man, like Didario is revamping. You want to check it out?" And I was with Dunlop for 2 years before this. I was with Dunlop and I was with TC Electronic for 3 years.
Yeah. So,
And
sorry, I'm cutting you, but it wasn't like, hey, I should start promoting myself on social media in order to get some endorsement. It wasn't like that, right? It was like you.
I started out just putting out stuff,
Okay.
putting out my vibe. Then like Fender happened through Fender seeing me play a game.
Hmm.
They were like, oh, and then I was not playing a Fender.
And this
I was
was
just playing my
in
evidence.
Bombay or this was in LA? This
Delhi,
is Delhi. Okay. Sorry.
Delhi, Delhi. Fender happened in India. I carried forward TC Electronic, great company. TC happened to me in 2014. It lasted me till 2018, 4 years.
Hmm.
They were so kind. They sent me amps into Delhi. They paid for customs.
That's a lot.
What a company! Yeah, they did, and I was one. I'm still like there, like on their website as one of the premier artists. But like, I still have mad respect for them until Behringer came and bought the company. But that's something different. But so building a brand relationship, that's also like something like now I cut down on all the brands. Like I'm just like, okay, I play Fender, I play Guitario, they work great for me. I don't change my strings for a year. So
Awesome.
but the thing is it has a sound. Like I'm able to get a sound, and what better than a Fender Jazz Bass?
That's true.
Just that. So I feel like endorsement is something like a while somebody I met at the NAM show. He said brands will come to you. Have that mentality. Or if you feel that you're closing the gap between you and the brand, just reach out to them.
That's
So
interesting.
like that.
So when you're saying brand relationship with brands, what do you mean exactly
Hmm?
by that? Building relationships.
Relation- man, like you do things for the brand. You go into like a like a full thing where you figure out ways where how the brand can promote you. But you keep doing you. You keep posting stuff. You do reviews. Like you do gear reviews. I've seen
Hmm.
you do gear reviews.
Yeah.
So like something like that. Something like Yannick Guzdala going and doing pedal reviews. I mean, of course, it's Yannick, but he's doing pedal reviews. Now, the company, even if he's not endorsed to, they will see that and they'll be like, oh, he did a review and it's great. It's well shot. He's got in depth into it because he likes those. The bottom line is liking
Right.
what you're using. So when you like that, you put it out there. So and then the brand comes up and they're like, okay, I will share it. But then their way of reciprocating is, if you sign a deal, you get money, or if you sign a deal saying that, oh, I use your gear, they send you gear.
That's pretty cool, man. So, how long is this loan to last now? Is it a 10-year thing, a 15-year thing, or is it there's another window that you can put to it?
That is how we cut the loan. We paid some stuff now. This is 2020. We are looking at like this loan goes off in 2023.
2023.
So, and yeah, took this loan in 2011.
Very, very cool, man. And the time at MI, of course, is very, very special. And I mean, whatever I'm hearing from you is about being in the hands of the finest who work there, who have worked their life.
Pushed myself, man. Pushed myself. Like one thing that I realized in music school that specifically for me that worked was I pushed myself. I pushed myself to like a ways where I ये क्या कर रहा है ये मेरे को समझना है that कीड़ा that like ये क्यों है and I know you can be nutty like when you do with that mentality because the other you can piss other person off. But there's a nicer way like you just reach out to them and be like hey man I really like what you're doing can you make me understand you know can you can you make me understand you know like the guy who taught me how to do walking bass lines Potter Smith another guy
Hmm.
he's 89 he was the villain in the Bond movie. I was like, he's the guy who gets sets on fire in Diamonds Are Forever.
Hmm.
He's the guy, and he's Butter Smith, and he used to play with Monk back in the day.
Wow.
And I went to him and I went to him and I said, I took private lessons from Potter, and I was like, Potter, I want to learn jazz. And he was like, hey, you want to learn jazz? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, show me a walking bass line. I was just doing all sorts of trash. He just looks at me and he's like, just play the roots in fifth first. Just play that. And I was, those words just like, ठीक है भाई, like यही करूँगा, तो यही करूँगा, like, and it really helped me in getting lessons like that. Like, imagine the most funniest thing. Uh, Scott Henderson and Gary Willis are sitting together and talking, and you are in the same room trying to talk to them, and they respond to you,
Hmm.
and you are nitpicking their brain. You're like, अच्छा, आपने ट्राइबल टेक में क्या बनाया था? आपने कैसे किया था? And you're just like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean? Like you can see the candy there. Like you're just looking at that, and you just so try to understand like what really runs in their mindset. You know, one guy I would specifically say that really not nitpick but influenced me was this bass player who played with Lee Ritner called Melvin Lee Davis.
Hmm. He plays a
Uh,
seven string bass, right?
seven string bass. In true, he came with Will Kennedy, drummer from Yellow
Yes.
Jackets. They did a rhythm section workshop.
Hmm.
I still have it on my some video should be somewhere in my phone. It was the most uplifting thing that I ever saw, and that workshop happened in the third week of my MI, starting of MI. And that was the first workshop per se. And I met Melvin Lee Davis and I hung out with him and I talked to him. And I was like, how do you play this, man? It's a seven string. Ken Smith. उठाया नहीं जा रहा मुझसे तो आप पाजी आप उठा के बजा रहे हो just like you know and he's like he played with Shaka Khan for the longest time and I'm dropping names like as if nobody because I was sitting there and seeing these guys like wow they played a Shaka tune then they played a groove and my god that groove was like
So this
God,
he was playing with Shaka before Andrew Boucher, or
so he was playing with Shaka before Andrew Boucher. Then I met Andrew Boucher.
oh.
When I met Andrew Boucher, my life changed. I hung out with Andrew Boucher. Andrew Boucher knew me very well, and he still knows me very well. Through Andrew Boucher, I met Bobby Lewis.
Hmm.
From Bobby Lewis, I met. So there was this thing called Bass Player Live by the Bass Player magazine. You would walk inside and you would see Steve Berry standing right next, and William Sklar right next to him. And then you turn around and you see Michael Manring playing his zone bass. Then you go there and you see Bobby Vega playing his funk picking bass. And then you go there and you see Nathan East giving knowledge on how to be a studio musician. You're like, dude, like I would just go and kill myself in a corner. And then while you're thinking that you're going to go kill yourself in the corner, there's Marcus Miller walking that way and saying, hi, how are you doing? You know, it's just absorbing some really good knowledge. Like I remember Alexis is a very close friend with Lee Sklar, and Lee Sklar is a legendary bass player, recorded one of the largest recorded bass players. And I stood there talking to him, and I was like, "Sir, how does it feel?" The one question that I asked him, I said, "Sir, how does it feel to like uh, be the most recorded bass player and being so nice to people?" He said, "Stop calling me sir." I was like, it's like, how does it feel, Lee? And he's like, I'm still working.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, that mentality, that mentality.
So there's this interview of Richard Bona, which I saw. I don't know where.
अच्छा बोला बहुत funny आदमी है यार.
Ah,
Sorry,
so
just
he's
continue.
he was in this interview and he was telling the host of the interview. I don't think it was a musician, but the he was telling the host that I used to tell all my friends that I can play better bass than anybody who has ever played with Miles Davis. I just need to do it once. I have to show it to people that I can do it better than anybody else ever. Then he said we were at some music festival and Miles Davis was also playing there and I was also playing with somebody else. Then he said I was going to the restroom and Miles Davis was coming out. And that's the first time I saw him. I met him. And I looked into his eyes, he looked into mine, and he asked me, "Hey, you're a musician?" And Richard Bona said, "No." he just said he
Well,
just said no to him because he said that I just couldn't tell him that I am a musician because the whole his presence was such, his aura was such that it's just like the first answer that came to me naturally was no, I'm not a musician.
that happened to me when I first met um, Nathan East. So if people know me, Nathan East is somebody who I've always looked up to as a player and as a musician, and I feel like it's beautiful at what he is. I saw Nathan East, तो मेरी आवाज ही नहीं निकली.
Mm.
Nathan's like, hey, nice to meet you.
Mm.
I said, like this. And then I met him a year later, again at the NAM show.
Mm.
He's like, hey, you. And then the third year I met him at the premiere of his DVD, his documentary that came out at the Grammy Museum. That's when I said, hi, Nathan. He said, I remember you. Every year I meet you and you never say a word. So people actually remember you. Like that, it made me realize, like, oh wow, it's crazy.
I mean, man,
It's crazy. Like
from
life's
from your stories, there's so much to know that if you happen to reach abroad, you can find your way around a city wherever you are at. And of course, you were in Hollywood, you were in LA, and you had access to go see these people, talk to them. And of course, it has given you the musicality that you have now because you were listening to such amazing beats. You were looking at them play. They were doing such fantastic things.
I have a very it's a funny thing that just came in my head and it's really crazy, okay? And I still hate myself for this thought. I'm watching Michael Mandarin play.
Hmm.
Crowd is sitting. Right next to me is Jerry Jammer sitting. Right next to me. Yeah. I sat through the whole thing. Okay. Sat through the whole thing. Came back home. Opened the Jaco DVD.
Hmm.
The guy who's interviewing is Jerry Jammer.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting right next to this guy and I'm thinking, ये बंदा मेरे बगल में बैठा था, मैं से मिला कि नहीं? Like, and then that's how it was like for me. Like in the sense, like I would see the heroes and I'd be like, wow, dude, like Michael Mandarin, man, I heard him play, I talked to him, man, it's just some really beautiful stuff. Andrew Boucher, listen to Andrew Boucher, and just like, man, this guy is like speaking soul out of his face. You know what I mean? Like there were like these gospel people, and then through them, I had this style which I was aiming for because I love hip hop, pop music. I love it. Like I love it. Like I just don't. I feel there's no harm in saying that now. Like it's like, oh, it's easy music and all, like whatever the people want to say, but I love that style, and I ventured out, and the first thing that I landed up for myself is the Pradeep music that you hear, which is hip hop.
Right.
So I'm putting a stylistically approach to it, and man, it all just came down from like checking out these players, how they were playing and how they were talking, and how I could just sit and listen to them. Listening to Nathan East was uplifting. Like really, like I was.
So being in a music school, of course, allows you to visit or not visit.
Sort of one thing I realized. One thing I realized is musicians need to unite a lot.
Hmm.
We need to be together. I saw all of these giants in the same room, and when they were talking as friends. They were not talking as colleagues.
Hmm.
They were all legends in their own way. But I just learned that gotta unite, man. They gotta do something strong. The bass people have to do something strong for us, for each other. Because we're all players, man. We all play. Anyways, continue. Sorry, I had to put it
No,
in.
I guess I mean it's going to come together. It's just a matter of time
I know. Thanks to
as
you
the communities grow.
putting this together.
And
Yeah, I know.
my understanding from you through this whole conversation has been that if you can afford this specific amount of money to spend to manage to get a loan, or if you already have funding.
But the one thing I would want to say is that you a little before you talk about the private lesson thing and going to a school thing. I think it's the experience for sure. It is it is it is that for sure. Like they experience like when you I know understand that we have to sit and take a private lesson. That's a different experience. But when you are there in a school or surrounded by people,
That
it
you can't
just
put a price tag to it. You can't, definitely.
no.
Like
It,
I
it,
just hear these stories from you, and my experiences with these people are actually just on a computer screen, or maybe if somebody comes here to play a specific gig. So
sure,
even then I
sure.
don't get to hang with them. I just get to see them. I get to maybe just be close enough, but never has been a situation that I could hang with them. So
Humility is something that I learned from these guys, because the thing is that they might be like the bestest of the bestest that we see, but what sets them who they are is just how they are in the natural
So
environment.
specifically going to MI, there's a lot of emphasis that they put on studying contemporary styles rather than just
Right.
following a generic curriculum. And I think they're always updating, right? What kind of
Yes, they are.
music is
Yes, they are.
growing. If it's trap is in the trend, so let's talk about trap
Yeah,
music. Let's
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool. So if one can afford, they must go. They must have that
I like the
experience.
style that the school taught. You know what I mean? Like, and what it did to me was like, and I've seen this in the past that jazz is good, this is great, why you play this music, this is new, this is yeah, falana damka. The thing is that at the end of the day, if everybody is trying to do some music
Hmm.
and they're doing it, and if they're putting it with honesty, let them do it. I do it with all honesty. The thing with MI is like, I'm not saying that MI is the greatest school in the world, but what the thing is that the experience that I got out of it was, wow, this school is really trying to implement that I really like. And if I really like something, then I would want to dig deeper. And you won't believe, I was introduced to jazz in this school from the people who were teaching purely contemporary music. So it doesn't mean that they are limited to something.
Hmm.
It's just like opening up your ears and opening up your eyes and just exploring.
That's true. So the experience
Yeah,
is very valuable. If one can afford it, they should do it. And if they can't,
sure.
then private lessons, yes. And
Yes.
that's the way forward for anybody and everybody who wants. I mean, this is just fascinating. The kind of people you have met, the who we look up to, and
More than
everything.
the people, it gave me like when you come to the working scenario, and if I don't know if you're going to talk about me working in this scenario in modern day, like the way I work, it taught me how to discipline myself and follow a
So,
regime
what is it like
on
to
how
work
I
there? What is it
approach.
like to work there as a
I
bass player in America when you worked?
um, I worked for a very short time, but whatever I worked, uh, you gotta be bringing your A game, triple A game actually. I would say that
Hmm.
you gotta bring your A game, and it was fierce because the thing is that the reading the gig that I landed and I played the gig, and it was not crazy, but then right after I finished the gig in that bar, my when my set is over with the artist, I turn around, and the next people who are walking in is Kamasi Washington, Ronald Bruner Jr., Thundercat, Hadrian Farad, all of these people coming in and playing, and they're just reading. They were reading the skill set. It, observing the other person also gave me a lot of insight. That is what I learned. Like it's besides going to the music school, I was also looking in the streets how people are, you know, approaching it.
Hmm.
And what I learned from them was that they were following a discipline. They were following a regime. They were following what felt right to them. And that is what I learned is like working in the US was like you had to bring your AAA game, and you needed to focus and do something that you feel is natural, but you're still bringing in all the learnings from everywhere that you have accumulated, like put it together and then doing things. And that is something that I incorporate now in India also. Like when I started working out, like to disciplining myself, I lost myself in the middle because for obvious reasons, but discipline is something that I try to bring, like, getting charts and writing charts, and just because as a session player, I realize I've always been a session player, and that mentality also walked parallelly while everything I did, which I'm telling you
Right. Cool, man.
right.
Harshit, this has been very helpful, man. I mean, there are these questions that I've always wondered about. They are very basic, but it's hard to find real answers to them. Like, it's hard to find somebody who can just put numbers to specific things and how much does it cost.
Sure.
And of course, sometimes numbers are also inspiring in a way that you can think about building a future in a certain manner. I mean, there might be
Right.
somebody listening to this talk who might be like, I can afford this, or there might be somebody listening that I need another plan. Maybe I need private lessons.
Focus. That's all I just tell them. Like, anything that you're doing, just focus and just believe in yourself, man. Just believe. Like, I came from a time sort of like where I reached out to a lot of people and they were busy or they were whatever they're doing, and I couldn't learn from them in India. And that's when I figured out ways where I am what I am
So you
right
got
now.
to be
You know what I mean?
creative with the way you're going to get your education. It can be abroad, it can be private lessons, it can be people in India. And
Yes, sir.
as far as experiences are concerned, of course, there are experiences available in our country. There are so many other heroes in our country.
So,
And
yes.
those are things that one can attain as of now. And of course, when one has
Yeah.
access to the other stuff, to the other scholarships, let's say, or other schools come here, one should definitely make the best.
Jump onto the if you get an opportunity, jump on.
That's awesome.
Jump.
That's awesome.
Just jump on. Yeah.
Harshit, thank you so much, man. I mean, it's been helpful for me to understand so that I can, if somebody asks me in the future, I can either direct them to you or, just let them
Sure.
direct it to this podcast, and they can have more
Sure.
info about how useful and how awesome it is to study abroad. It's really amazing what all you have shared.
It's been a great experience for me. Like, I feel like it enlightened me and opened up a mind frame which has had me to work today in today's environment, in the present modern day environment.
Awesome.
It's been fun for me.
Awesome.
But thanks, Saurabh. Thanks for doing
I'm
this.
very happy you do this. And right now we're talking, and next, whenever we meet, I think we're gonna take this to your gear, your playing, and talk about those things. When
Yes,
the
we
lockdown
will.
opens up, things normalize a little more. Then people can see
I'd love to.
that
I'd
side.
love to. I'd love to.
Thank you so much for coming,
So,
man. Thanks a ton. I'm
thank you.
gonna
Thank you,
hang up
Saurabh.
the Skype call.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Shout out to
all
me.
this.
Shout out to HashBass.
Bye,
Take care.
HashBass.
Bro. See you.
Bye.
Take care, bro. Bye bye.
Thank you everyone for coming to this podcast, this interview. And next Saturday, 12 o'clock, again, we'll be doing another one. अभी मैं कुछ आर्टिस्ट फिक्स नहीं किया है मैंने. मैं स्टिल प्रोसेस में हूँ, ढूंढ रहा हूँ कि किसको बुलाऊँ नेक्स्ट. अगर आप कमेंट्स जो वीडियो के नीचे जब ये वीडियो पब्लिश हो जाएगी, उस कमेंट्स में अगर आप लिख दें कि कौन से आर्टिस्ट, कौन से बेस प्लेयर्स को आप देखना चाहते हैं, तो मेरे लिए इजी हो जाएगा ढूंढना. क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है, लाइव चैट में मैं देख नहीं पाता हूँ कि कौन कौन किसने क्या नाम लिखा है, क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा लंबी हो जाती है लाइव चैट कभी कभी. लेकिन अगर आप नीचे कमेंट्स में डाल दें कि आप कौन से बेस प्लेयर को नेक्स्ट देखना चाहते हैं, या किसी ड्रामर को, कोई भी म्यूजिशियन को, मैं पूरी कोशिश करूँगा उनको एक्सेस करने के लिए, उनसे बात करने के लिए और उनको इस पॉडकास्ट पे लाने के लिए. थैंक यू सो मच आप सबका, आप आए. एंड वील मीट नेक्स्ट वीक एट 12 o'clock Saturday. सी यू ऑल.